Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare $quarter coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we are talking about a coin that looks completely ordinary, yet it caused so much confusion and excitement that people rushed to check their pocket change thinking they'd struck gold. This is the 2021 United States of America $quarter, crossing the Delaware, and yes, some versions really did sell for surprising money. But not for the reason most people think. Stick with me, because by the end of this video you'll know exactly what to look for, what's hype, what's real, and whether the quarter sitting on your desk right now is worth more than 25 cents. At first glance, this coin feels different. Flip it over and instead of the familiar eagle with spread wings, you see George Washington standing in a boat, sword in hand, crossing an icy river with soldiers behind him. This design shocked collectors when it came out. Show slow close-up of the reverse, pan across Washington and the boat. It's bold, dramatic, and unlike anything we'd seen on a US quarter in decades. Here's the twist. This wasn't even supposed to be a special, collectible quarter. It was created as a one-year transitional design in 2021, bridging the end of the America the Beautiful series and the start of the American Women quarters. Because of that, millions were minted. Philadelphia. Denver. No mint mark surprises. And yet, people started listing them online for crazy prices almost immediately. So what happened? The value doesn't come from the regular coin. If you've got a clean, normal 2021 crossing the Delaware quarter, circulated or uncirculated, it's usually worth face value to maybe $1 at most. That's the reality. But here's where things get interesting. Some coins came out with noticeable errors. And error collectors pay real money for real mistakes. Cut to macro shot of rim and lettering. We're talking about off-center strikes, double dies on the lettering, die chips near Washington's sword or boat, weak strikes where details fade, and occasional planchet errors. These aren't common, and when they show up, they stand out fast. One of the most talked about examples was a strong off-center strike that sold at auction for several $100s. Other verified error coins have sold in the range of $50 to a few $100s depending on severity and condition. No exaggeration. Just documented sales. Show auction screenshot or price graphic. There's also the condition factor. High-grade, uncirculated coins graded by professional services can sell for a premium. A pristine example graded near the top of the scale has sold for over $100, not because it's rare, but because perfection is. And here's a fun detail most people miss. This is one of the very few US coins where Washington faces left instead of right. That subtle change alone makes it a standout in modern coin history. Split screen comparing older quarter and 2021 version. So before you get excited, ask yourself one question. Does your coin look normal, or does something feel off? Tilt it. Check the edges. Look closely at the letters. Errors hide in plain sight. Now I want to hear from you. Do you own this quarter? Have you ever found a real error coin in your change? And which coin would you love to add to your collection someday? To wrap it up, the 2021 crossing the Delaware quarter is a fascinating piece of modern US coinage. Most are worth 25 cents. Some are worth a little more. And a small number, with genuine mint errors or top-tier condition, have sold at auction for real money ranging from tens to hundreds of dollars. Top 2, we are talking about a coin that almost everyone has handled, almost nobody saved, and a surprising number of people are now hunting for. The 1981 United States of America $quarter. This is the kind of coin that looks boring, until you realize a few tiny details can turn it from pocket change into something collectors actually fight over. Give me a couple minutes, because I'm going to show you why 1981 matters, what mistakes to look for, and how some of these quarters have quietly sold for real money while most people weren't paying attention. At first glance, this coin feels familiar. Hold it up and you'll see George Washington facing left, just like he did for decades. The date 1981 sits cleanly below his neck. Flip it over and there's the classic eagle with outstretched wings, arrows clutched tight, olive branches below. As the camera moves in closer, you start to notice the sharpness, or sometimes the lack of it, in the feathers and lettering. And that's where the story begins. 1981 was a strange year for US coinage. Inflation was high. People were spending coins fast. Almost no one was setting quarters aside. That means most 1981 quarters went straight into circulation and stayed there. They got scratched, dinged, worn down. So today, finding one in truly clean condition is harder than you'd expect. There are three main versions. Philadelphia, with no mint mark. Denver, with a small d. And San Francisco, which produced proof coins marked with an S. When you see a proof under the light, it almost jumps out at you. Deep mirror-like surfaces. Frosted details. Crisp edges. These were never meant for pockets, but a few escaped. Now here's the part collectors lean forward for. Errors. Look closely at the date and the word Liberty. Some 1981 quarters show double die errors, where the letters look thicker or slightly shadowed. Others were struck off-center, pushing the design toward the rim. There are clipped planchets missing a curved bite of metal, die cracks slicing through the eagle, and weak strikes where details fade like they were never finished. These aren't everyday finds, but they're real, and they're documented. One strong off-center 1981 quarter has sold for several $100s. High-grade proof coins regularly sell for $30 to $60. Business strike coins graded in near-perfect condition have crossed the $100 mark at auction. Most circulated examples, though, are still worth face value to about $1. The difference comes down to condition and mistakes. Here's the cliffhanger moment. The most valuable 1981 quarter isn't obvious. It doesn't scream rare. It hides in plain sight. And the only way to spot it is to slow down and really look. So let me ask you. Do you own a 1981 quarter? Have you ever checked one closely, or do you usually spend them without a second thought? And what's the one coin you'd love to find in your change someday? To sum it up, the 1981 US quarter is a quiet survivor from a year when no one was saving coins. Most are common. Some are special. A few are genuinely valuable. And the secret is all in the details you can see once you know where to look. Top 3. We are talking about a quarter that looks so normal most people would spend it without a second thought, yet it comes from one of the most unusual moments in US coin history. The 1966 United States of America quarter dollar. And here's the wild part. This coin was made during a time when the government didn't want collectors paying attention at all. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes you'll see why this quarter has no mint mark, why that matters, what rare errors can turn it valuable, and how some examples have sold for far more than people ever expected. Take a good look at the coin in your hand. As the camera moves in close, you see Washington's familiar portrait facing left. The date 1966 sits quietly below. No mint mark anywhere. Flip it over slowly and there's the eagle, wings spread, arrows in its claws, olive branches below. Simple. Classic. Almost too ordinary, and that's exactly what the US Mint wanted. In the mid-1960s, America had a serious coin shortage. Silver prices were rising, people were hoarding coins, and circulation was drying up. So the Mint made a drastic move. They removed silver from quarters starting in 1965 and stopped using mint marks altogether from 1965 through 1967. The idea was to discourage collecting and get coins moving again. So every 1966 quarter looks the same on paper. No P. No D. No S. Just one design, mass-produced, meant to be spent fast and forgotten. But here's the twist. Because collectors were told not to collect them, almost nobody saved high-quality examples. Most 1966 quarters went straight into pockets, registers, and parking meters. That makes clean survivors much scarcer than the mintage numbers suggest. Now lean in for the details collectors care about. Look at the edges. This is a clad coin, not silver. you'll see that copper stripe sandwiched between layers. Look at the lettering. Some 1966 quarters show double die errors where the words look thick or slightly split. Others were struck off-center, pushing part of the design toward the rim. There are die cracks running through Washington's hair or across the eagle's wings, clipped planchets missing a curved section, and weak strikes where details fade before your eyes. These mistakes are where real value shows up. A strong off-center 1966 quarter has sold for several $100s. High-grade examples graded near perfect condition have reached over $100 at auction. Most circulated 1966 quarters are worth face value, maybe up to $1, but the right coin tells a very different story. Here's the moment to pause and think. The most valuable 1966 quarter doesn't look flashy. It doesn't announce itself. It waits for someone patient enough to notice what everyone else missed. So let me ask you. Do you own a 1966 quarter? Have you ever checked one closely, or do you usually move right past it? And which coin would you love to add to your collection if you could find it tomorrow? To wrap it up, the 1966 US quarter is a product of economic pressure, quiet design choices, and a government trying to hide coins in plain sight. Most are common. Some are special. A few are genuinely valuable. And the difference comes down to condition and errors. Top 4, we are talking about a quarter that was never meant to be collected, never meant to be special, and somehow became one of the most misunderstood coins in American pockets. The 1967 United States of America quarter dollar. And here's the twist. This coin was made during a time when the government didn't even want its own mint marks on coins. Stick around, because in the next few minutes I'll show you why every 1967 quarter looks the same, what hidden details can make one valuable, and how a coin most people ignore has quietly sold for serious money. Take a close look as the camera tightens in. Washington's portrait faces left, calm and familiar. The date 1967 sits below. No mint mark anywhere. Flip it over slowly and you see the eagle with spread wings, arrows and olive branches, strong but simple. Nothing flashy. Nothing dramatic. And that plain look is the entire story. In the mid-1960s, America was dealing with rising silver prices and a massive coin shortage. People were hoarding silver coins, pulling them out of circulation. The mint responded by removing silver and, from 1965 through 1967, removing mint marks entirely. The goal was to stop collectors from chasing coins and force them back into everyday use. So every 1967 quarter is a clad coin. Copper sandwiched between layers of nickel. Check the edge under good light and you'll see that copper stripe instantly. This is how you know it's not silver, no matter what anyone online claims. But here's where the story takes a turn, because collectors were discouraged. Almost no one saved high-quality 1967 quarters. They were spent hard and fast. Parking meters. Vending machines. Cash drawers. That means finding one today with sharp details and clean surfaces is tougher than it sounds. Now lean in closer, because this is where collectors really pay attention. Watch the lettering in Liberty and In God We Trust. Some 1967 quarters show double die errors that make letters look thicker or slightly separated. Others were struck off-center, pushing the design toward the rim. There are die cracks cutting through Washington's hair or across the eagle's wings, clipped planchets missing a curved section, and weak strikes where details fade early. These errors are where value appears. Verified off-center strikes from 1967 have sold for a few $100s. High-grade examples graded near perfect condition have crossed the $100 mark at auction. Proof-like strikes, though unofficial, can also bring a premium. Most circulated examples are still worth face value, maybe up to $1, but the right coin changes everything. Here's the cliffhanger moment. The most valuable 1967 quarter isn't loud. It doesn't shine like silver. It looks ordinary until you notice something that shouldn't be there, or something that's missing. So let me ask you. Do you own a 1967 quarter? Have you ever stopped to really examine one, or did it pass through your hands without a thought? And which coin would you love to find hiding in your change? To wrap it up, the 1967 US quarter is a product of crisis, policy, and quiet design. Made to be ignored. Made to be spent. Yet today, certain examples are collectible, desirable, and valuable. Top 5, and last rare coin, we are talking about a quarter that almost everyone has spent, almost no one saved, and a few people were very glad they didn't. The 1980 United States of America quarter dollar. This is the kind of coin that hides in plain sight, because it looks ordinary, right up until you notice something slightly wrong. Give me a few minutes, because I'm going to show you what makes the 1980 quarter interesting, which versions matter, the mistakes collectors pay real money for, and how some of these have sold for far more than most people expect. Hold the coin up and let the camera drift in. Washington faces left, calm and familiar. The date 1980 sits clean beneath his neck. Flip it over slowly and there's the eagle with spread wings, arrows clutched, olive branches below. Classic US design. Nothing flashy. And that's why people miss it. The year 1980 was all about speed. Inflation was high. Coins moved fast. Almost no one was thinking about saving quarters. Millions were struck in Philadelphia with no mint mark, and in Denver with a small d. San Francisco made proof versions marked with an S, meant for collectors, not pockets. Most of these quarters lived rough lives. Vending machines, arcades, parking meters. That matters, because today, condition separates a common coin from a collectible one. Now here's where it gets interesting. Look closely at the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Some 1980 quarters show double die errors where the letters look thicker or slightly split. Others were struck off-center, pushing part of the design toward the rim. There are die cracks cutting through Washington's hair or across the eagle's wings, clipped planchets missing a curved section, and weak strikes where the details fade before they should. These aren't everyday finds. But when they show up, collectors notice fast. A strong off-center 1980 quarter has sold for a few $100s. Verified double die examples have reached similar territory. High-grade business strikes graded near perfect condition have crossed the $100 mark at auction. Proof coins in top shape often sell for $20 to $40. Most circulated 1980 quarters, though, are worth face value to about $1. That's the honest breakdown. Here's the moment to pause. The most valuable 1980 quarter doesn't shine brighter than the rest. It doesn't announce itself. It waits for someone patient enough to tilt it under the light and really look. So let me ask you. Do you own a 1980 quarter? Have you ever checked one for errors, or do you usually spend them without a thought? And which coin would you love to find hiding in your change? To wrap it up, the 1980 US quarter is a reminder that common years can still hold uncommon surprises. Most are ordinary. Some are collectible. A few are worth real money. And the difference is in the details. If this helped you see your change a little differently, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more coin stories that cut through the hype. And watch the next video, because the next valuable coin might already be sitting in your pocket.